Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nilima Sadavarte, and I'm a very passionate IB teacher working with Wockhardt Global School. Welcome to my webinar, and the topic is Learners to Agentic Learners. I have a personal interest in this topic that is the student agency. Over the past few years, since I have started working in the IB school, I have personally developed a very good, connection with the IB. I love the IB program, the way it is, built up by the so many, educators all over the globe. Talking about student agency, which has come in the year 2018, I have developed a very personal, interest in student agency since we have started following student agency in our school after we got authorization in 2018. So, okay, so let's start. So at the end of this session, you will be having a better idea about what is agentic learner. That is the topic itself, it is saying that the learners to agentic learner. So first, you will be very clear with what is agentic learner, then characteristics of student agency, because student agency is something which makes a learner to agentic learner. And third is few tips to develop student agency in your classroom. Okay. So the two infographics given by PYP, uh, as you can see on my screen, the framework which is on the left hand side, uh, we also call it the old IB framework, and the new one which is on my right hand side, it is enhanced IB PYP framework. Now let's talk about what is the difference between two. So if you can see the first, since in the IB education, which is inquiry based and student center, if you can see the first circle, it talks about the IB learner profile, the 10 learner profile which we have. And the second circle talks about approaches to learning, the attitude, approaches to teaching, and the concept, which we used to call it a casca before, that is knowledge, action, concept, skills, and action, of course. And if we see in the third circle in this, it's talk about action and exhibition. And then of course the additional subject we have like language, social studies, maths, art, and personal, social, physical education. That's it. And the last circle, not last, second last, it talks about all the six themes which we have. And this everything together makes the IBPYP program. And which with the help of this we make our students internationally minded. Talking about the enhanced PYP framework, which is given by IB in 2018 October, there is not much difference, but yes, if you can see in the circle 3, here in the old one it's talk about action and exhibition, but in the new one, in enhanced IBPIP framework, it talks about agency, then exhibition, and then action. Of course the exhibition and action is also a most important part of IB learning. With In addition to that, the IBO given the agency in 2018. So since the topic of this webinar is student agency, let's have a closer look at the third circle, which is looks like this. Which is, the here the agency has been divided into three elements, that is the learner, teaching and learning, and the learner community. In 2018 October, when IB uh, released their enhanced PYP document, so, it talks about these three elements. So, it is divided into three books. That is, first document is about learner, learning and teaching, and the learning community. I remember when I joined IB in 2016, we used to follow in our old school, we used to follow the old, book. The heading was Making PYP Happen. And I myself feel very, fortunate that I was a part of both. So I have also followed the old PYP framework and new as well. So enhanced PYP, it talks about these three elements, and agency within all these three elements is giving students more opportunities, recognizing their voice, giving them multiple choice, and making them empowered. Me as a teacher, or any for any PYP educator, when we see our kids who are empowered, when they own their learning, when they are have multiple choices the way they want, when you are making them learn how to learn, so this is something which gives you happiness, which I cannot compare to any other happiness in the world. So, okay, coming back to the student agency, it also talks about the voice, choice, and ownership. These are the characteristics which makes the agency, right? So, enhanced IB PYP also encourages each person of the learning community to have an agency, which is the three parts, that is the teacher, student, and parents, which makes the learning community. So, IB, they encourages all these people to have agency. And one of the very beautiful example of student agency, which we can see in the year 6, that is PYP exhibition, where each year 6 student, they experience the true essence of agency. In very short, if I can say, selecting a theme, making central idea, breaking down it into the lines of inquiry, selecting concept, the skills, and everything is, students are doing everything, writing for the what resources they want and how the entire exhibition they want to do, though everything is done by students. So that is a true example of agency in PYP. Of course there are many in the different classrooms, like there are multiple examples, but that is the true sense of agency which is compulsory there in every IB school. Okay. Now, the first point which I have mentioned, that what is, like who is agentic learner? So a learner, any students in the classroom who is effectively occupied with the different phases of learning, like thinking, planning, questioning, researching something, or, modifying information, or I can say creating something, when they voice their opinion, when they communicate conceptual understanding, that whatever they have understood, when they are clearly able to communicate to a teacher, or when they direct their own learning, when they choose that this is what I want to learn and this is how I want to learn, and after all this setup, when they are able to reflect, so this is what a agentic learner, who has an agency, and all the elements, I can say that, have since voice, choice, and including ownership. So when, if you can see a student who is actively engaged in all these 10 things, so that particular learner we call agentic learner. Next is characteristics of learner's agency. So as I already told you, it has three elements. Within these three elements makes the agency. The first one I would like to talk about, voice. Okay. So when we encourage, or when we identify the voice of your student, like what they want to do, like I remember when I was in the school, I never seen any teacher coming to me and asking, do you want to learn today, do you have a mood, or what do you want to learn today? Never. So the education right now, what we are giving to students, we are recognizing their voices, like what, on the basis, like uh, we as a teacher, we are confident that even we have 40 students in the class, each of them, their strengths, their interests, their passions, and of course their weaknesses too. And one of the best example, in PYP, there are many, and I would like to talk about, uh, as you can see this picture, this is the classroom picture of my PYP 2 students of last year, and they are writing their personal goals. Okay. So talking about the personal goal, these kind of things you can do in the initial of the year, or maybe in between when they have a winter break or something. Yeah. So short-term goals or long-term goal, that is your choice. Now, Once the student, they have written their own goal, now they know how to achieve that goal, what they want to do for that goal, what are the steps they want to take. So that is something they own, that is their own thing. So in this way, when kids they paste their goals, on maybe a chart or a board, that is your personal choice how you want to do in the classroom. So when every day, they see that goal, so they feel valued. They feel like, yes, this is mine and I know how to do. And if somewhere, if some people or some student, if they don't, we play a vital role as a teacher. We become a facilitator, and that's our responsibility to guide them. Second best example of recognizing the voice of students is the student council which we have. So here, the within each classroom there are the short kind of election we take where students vote for each other. They make their school, like within the classroom, like monitors, or if I talk about the school leader. And after that, once the students they become the leaders within the school student council, what they do, they get mingled with those the little kids, or you can get the grade 3, 4, 5, even the kindergarten we can include. So they listen to them. Now here, they first, we were listening to our kids. Now when we frame the student council, now the leaders of that, or you can say the monitor, they are listening to the other kids who are the part of entire school. They listen to their problem, and within maybe once a week or twice a month, they meet to the principal or other leadership team, and they communicate all those problems, or maybe there is something which they want to celebrate, or there is something, big days are coming, so how we'll plan, and is there some problem other kids are facing. So this is all about voice. So these are the two examples I have shared. You can think, and you can implement in your classroom others. Second is choice. Yeah, of course, like when we have almost 20 kids, or maybe sometimes 25, it depends. Now every, like when this 25 students comes under a roof, of course there are differences. We can't say that every kid is same. Yes. So when every kid is not same, then how can we plan only one thing to teach entire class? Never. So this is how the IB suggests or encourages to give multiple choice to the student based on their interest, their interest, their strengths, their weaknesses. So even normal planning of each day, from planning learning engagements to the assessments, and to this your all the kind of assessment, from your rubric to your each activity which you do in the classroom, make sure that it has a variety in that. I remember when I was doing little research for this webinar, of course, I had, read many things. A very beautiful analogy which I read, given by a Kathleen Tucker. She's a famous, educationist. So she said that a learning should be like a buffet and not like a casserole. Of course, like any person would be like to go and eat in the buffet and not what is there in the casserole. In the buffet, you can have a multiple things, multiple menu, and if you can see the casserole, it's there is no freedom, you can say, or little things you can keep in the casserole. So this is how the learning should be. Learning should have multiple things based on your whatever learners you have, and based on their strengths, or you can say the interest also. If you can see this example on my screen, kids, we were inquiring about the layers of the earth that time. And yeah, as I have already mentioned that, like every kid is different, but there are, kids who are like-minded. So this is my own classroom picture where, while learning about the layers of earth, I have kept some 3 stations, and I even did not ask students, so you go to that, you go to that group, you go to that group. So the here, if you can see the similar, the students who has a similar interest, they went to that particular group and they have started working. So here you can see the variety in learning. So few students, they are in this picture. If you can see, they are playing. I will sort, yeah. So learning is playing only. So they are playing with this different size of and different colors also, and they have. These are the paper cutout, of course, cut it by me because they are little, younger, and handling scissor might be a risky for them. So yes, so now they are using these paper cutouts and they have shown their conceptual understanding about layers of earth. Coming, okay, so this picture, I'm sorry, it's not very clear, but here the kids are, they are playing with the clay, and using the clay, they have made a, 3D model of earth, and they have cut one section, that is 1/4 of the section, and they have shown the different layers of the earth. Even the thickness, I was surprised looking at, of course, all the layers of earth are not similar in the thickness. The third group, you can see, very messy. Yeah, they love to. I still remember the colorful floor in my class. So they have used some, waste cardboards. They have made some 3D model out of it, and they have colored, and with the different colors. Of course, you can see the poster colors and water and brushes there. So they have used that, and they have colored few portion, and they have named, and they have shown their understanding. So this is about choice. For choice, one additional example I will give about the, the inclusion. And now, if you feel that why I'm talking about inclusion, the inclusion classroom says that, based on your learners' uh, strengths or weakness, or, special interests, whatever they have, you design your learning engagement in a same way. When we talk about agency also, talks about, like, based on your kids' interest, try to, engage them, try to see, like, which is the thing which, help them to bring their understanding. So this is about choice. The third is ownership. Yeah, of course, the ownership is something in the classroom, when students want to take the responsibility of something in a sense, you can call it their own learning, or when, okay. So why, IB talks about the voice, choice, and ownership. So when I talk about ownership, the core element of ownership, according to me, I feel it is a responsibility. So when you have a voice, when you have a choice, what you want to do and how you want to do. So whatever, in your learning process, whatever is happening with you, there are multiple failure, trials and error is a part of your learning journey. So who will take the responsibility? Of course, you are owning that learning, so you will take up, responsibility of that particular thing. So, it's your thing. If you did not come to the conclusion, you will have to reflect, and, you have to, go back and research again. So this is how you can make student own their learning. You can make them empowered. And one particular example, if I talk about ownership, is right now, if you see in the entire world, there are, when we were young, we had, career options like doctor, engineer, teacher. I don't remember many more. And recently, if you see, there are, graphic designer, animation, there are, good career in animation, and there are different things. So talking about the recent condition, I don't think so. After what, after maybe, 20 to 30 years, what are the career options will be available, we don't even know right now. So how you will empower your students? So maybe whatever they are learning right now, after 20 years, it will be, of no use. So here, like, when students, these students will, when they are into their position to select their career, I don't think so this particular knowledge will help them. It might help or it might not, right? So this is the thing, when we make student empower, when they have a freedom, you know, they develop skills, and skills are the very important part of your learning. If you are skillful, you can, you know, go and select anything from your buffet, because you know what you have to do. But when it comes to, you know, about casserole, you have only one thing, right? And what if you are not skillful in that? You will not even able to use that, right? So this is how it goes. So ownership is something, you know, which makes your learner ready for the future. And if I give one classroom example which I follow is making them the, you know, giving them the various roles in the classroom. I remember, you know, in the last year, because since students are not with us this year, so difficult to say. But last year's beautiful example, you know, I wanted to share. Like, I have, not me, the entire class has chosen, like, you know, who is will be perfect person for that particular role. So there was, you know, list, and we had a very small election in the, you know, within the classroom. Only my, like my class students were, as was part of that. And I remember, you know, having beautiful perspective when I asked, okay, why this student, you feel why this particular student is, you know, perfect for this role. So students have, you know, multiple perspective to, you know, tell them, yes, he is the right one or she is the right one. So when it comes to, you know, get into that role, I have seen, in the that particular list, I have already told my students, if you are not able to do this particular thing, or if you in any day if you are not able to take, you know, the responsibility of following what your role is, so there will be a cross in front of your name that you were not able to do. I remember one day when I have come, you know, from the lunch, I have seen my student giving them cross there. And when I asked, so it was, you know, they have feel that yes, when ma'am has or the class has made me responsible for this particular role, so it is my responsibility to do that. And when I am not able to that day, so you know, it was very shocking, or you may see a, you know, sweet surprise, like when I see doing them, like students, for them making the cross in front of their name is not easy thing, but I have seen my kids doing that. So you know, I feel very fortunate that somewhere, you know, I was able to give, you know, yeah, so I cannot give agency to my kids. What I can do is I can make the environment of my class in a way that, you know, there the agency can foster. So somewhere I was, you know, very happy that, you know, yes, I was able to. So this is, you know, so this voice choice and your ownership, so this is all about your characteristics of student agency. Okay. So okay. So we as a PYP educator, you know, we are, you know, we know the stress and tensions we face when we try to play around the concept of student agency. It's very easy for us to, you know, when kids are, you know, working in a groups, and you know, when they have chosen something what they want, so it's very easy for us to, you know, stand in front of the student and say, okay, so we trust you, you have an agency, you have chosen this, you know, I trust you, follow your passion, this that. So this is very easy for us to say, right? But you know, there is lots of negotiations when we truly want to follow the agency. So talking about negotiation, the main one thing, you know, major negotiation is, you know, striking a balance between what students want to learn and what teacher or school or system, you know, decided for them to learn. So this is the major negotiation when we face when, you know, we really want to make our class agentic. So talking, like, you know, it's not easy, you know, and when we say, okay, it's okay, so my student have agency, they have chosen, you know, they are working, so doesn't mean that you don't have any role to play in the classroom. Of course we have a role. So here, you know, the teacher becomes a facilitator, and he or she can, guide the student, help them to, what they want, or if they are researching or something, so, see what they want and what are the resources they want, or maybe if they are stuck somewhere, give them feedback and, ask them to follow what, or even if they want to do something else, so if there is some new app or something, so this is how you will guide them. If there's, give them feedback, ask them to reflect. So there are lots of things involved, when it comes to having true agency in your classroom. And yeah, so the third, I say, the learning outcome or something, yeah. So third one is, the way, now here are few tips which may help you to promote agency in your classroom. So first is about more agency. Okay, now you have to make your classroom more agency driven and inclusive classroom. Now talking about agency driven, what it is and how you will do it. So as I already mentioned that, identify the voice, give them the choice and ownership. So make from your classroom setting, like when kids enter in your classroom, from the classroom setting to where you have kept the resources, what you're planning, the different learning experiences or different learning strategies, everything you have to make it in a way that will help them to see that yes, this is my classroom, and this is a part of me, and I am a part of this classroom, and I have rights to do what I feel today. So that is all about agency driven. Talking about inclusive classroom, I have already mentioned there is a very thin line between agentic classroom and inclusive classroom. So as per the inclusion classroom, uh, I have seen, sane counselor of our school, planning and, giving different kind of things to the student which come to her for a counseling. Or I have always seen her class like, messed up, but it is what the student need. So the multiple colors of papers and all this, and of course she has identified the needs of those students and their personal interest. So this is how, uh, planning on the basis of your student interest, their strengths and weaknesses, is what inclusive classroom. And more of it is also, agentic classroom also looks like that. So similarly, as I said, there is a very thin line between agency driven classroom and inclusion, it they are different. Creating condition under which agency can flourish, similar to, make your classroom agentic driven. So keep a variety of resources in your classroom, or when you plan, keep in a mind, the number of student you have, and very well how they are, who's interested in what. So keep multiple things ready with you anytime. Third is provide choice in a learning. So of course, when I spoken about choice, well, provide choice is nothing but giving multiple options to the student. Like we also, like when we have PDs or something, I like every IB workshop which you see, there are multiple things planned by any workshop leader. So we are also, feel that okay, where is my area of my interest? So something like that, we should, always keep choice in learning. And fourth is make them valued. Of course, any human being on the earth feel that he or she should be valued, even the kids. So if we, yeah, we know, like it's very difficult to keep eye on if each student out of your 20s, but a very small thing, if you see someone is not concentrating in the class, or maybe if you feel somebody dull in the classroom, which is not every time, so talk to them. Just even 1 minute of talking with that particular child is make a difference. You can see that visible difference in the classroom. Or in the same example, if I say, if particular student is unhappy or maybe upset or sad, so if you did not give that personal attention to him, he or she, that particular student will take the back seat. Now even if has a 50% interest for that particular day, if you did not talk, or if you did not go and speak to him, he will take a back seat. Even that 50% become a zero. So yes, talk to them, ask them if they have any problem, even if it is family or something. You can talk to them. It makes them feel valued, and when it makes them feel valued, that 50% become 100 at any time. So that is something, a success criteria for you for that day. Be attentive and be attentive and sensitive towards students' needs. Yeah. So when we take a class, or when the group of kids are working in the groups, and for one thing or 10 things, any times depends. So you should be attentive to each of the group, each group and each kids within that group. It's not like that, yes, this group is, they are always good, so leave them. And this group, oh, they don't work, so leave them also. No. When you have a variety in your classroom, variety of learners, whether they are very smart or whether they are very dull, you should be attentive and sensitive towards the need of every child. The sixth point is help them to set their personalized goals. As I already mentioned this, when as an example of help them to voice their opinion. So when you ask them to write their own goal, and when they know that what steps I have to take to achieve that goal, the entire process they build up in their mind. However, there are kids who stuck in somewhere, so it's our role to go and help them or give them a feedback. Be welcoming to our students perspective. Yes, so when they work students, so of course, like there are multiple perspective in the classroom, multiple. Sometimes sometimes you agree, sometimes kids are not agree with any other students. But yes, we should be always welcoming to the perspective. You cannot say any child is, no, this is not relevant. Talk to him, intervene that, how every time interview, how. Even not only you, other students can also intervene that, okay, you think this is how it is, so yes, tell us how. So this is how you should be always welcoming towards the perspective of kids, whether it is inside the classroom, it is on the playground, or where the learning is happening outside the classroom. That is how like uh, when we grow, or when we sit for any meeting or something, there is lots of things like we did not, many times we did not agree, okay, this is that. But when it comes to perspective, there is so first we should accept that there are multiple perspective within the people, and we cannot agree to any, I mean every, you cannot say yes to every perspective. At least why that particular person is thinking about that, what is the his or her thinking process behind that perspective. That's the reason even IB have given, I mean we have this perspective thing in our 7 key concepts. Make the learning coherent. Okay, when it comes to making learning coherent, like when you have given choice to your kids, they have chosen, they have voice, they have everything. Now when each person is working, or if so now what they are learning, maybe a particular group of kids when they are learning. So making coherent means helping them to summarize that particular thing daily. So when you do this thing daily, it will help them to keep that in mind as a memory. Because there should be a streamline when you're working on something. So that's the reason when 10 10 groups are doing 10 different things, so it's our responsibility to go and see and be attentive what they are doing, and respect what they are doing. If they are stuck, so ask them to reflect how and help them to don't give everything away like as it is. Okay, go and research on or read that book, you will get the answer. This is something we should not do in the classroom. So this is how help making learning coherent, that is summarizing what they are doing daily, help them to foster the agency. Provide them the lucid explanation. So whenever when this learning is happening in the classroom, of course there are multiple confusions and kids are getting stuck. So it's our responsibility as a facilitator to guide them, to tell them like why you, when they are getting failed somewhere or they are getting confused somewhere, so it is our responsibility to help them there. And that too I will say, uh, you cannot give everything directly to them. So in you should uh, give the instruction in a way that they can scaffold what they are doing. So that was about providing the lucid explanation. Until and unless students that if they are getting stuck there, and you as a teacher or facilitator, if you are not able to give them a clear explanation that why it is like why you are getting stuck there, or until and unless you will make that point clear, if they are not getting clear, that thing in within their mind, it will grow. And when they will in their learning process, when they will reach to the next point, there would be no use of that, because their first the basic is not clear, then what is use of going ahead. So this was about providing lucid explanation. The 10th point is about giving instructive feedback. So when it comes to feedback, there is a vital impact of feedback, on the kids. Okay. For example, for example, just consider I am not very interested in math, and uh, there is some concept which I am not able to do. So I'm not able to complete that worksheet, or maybe I'm not able to complete that 10 problem which my teacher has given me. And when the normal typical thing I will tell you, when my teacher will check, so she will say, okay, so Nilima, you will have to work on your numbers. But I already know that I'm not good in the numbers, so how that feedback will help me? So instead of doing that, you should give a feedback which is a feed forward, like uh, mention in that particular work, like how that particular child will help to get through. So it's important to ask your students, to ask them like how you want me to help you, not rather than this is the your concept, you are weak in this, so work on this is the feedback will never help your kids in the classroom. Talking about instructive feedback, so even in the feedback you cannot give the direct feedback to your kids. Give your feedback in a way that will scaffold the scaffold that particular concept, and not direct. Like if I say, okay, go and do this, and maybe that particular page number, or go through, read it, and maybe that particular thing will help you to get get through this particular problem. But until and unless that kid, if they don't know like how to do that, okay, I have a book, now I have a book and I know this is the page number and this is the explanation, but I don't know how to do that. So this is where the teacher should give that instructive feedback, or ask them how they want us to help them, right? So these are the 10 things, the few things I have mentioned here, which might help you to foster the agency in your classroom and make them agentic, of course. So now it is time for you to put your students in the driver's seat of their learning by incorporating more ownership, more choice, and more voice in your classroom. Thank you so much. I hope this webinar would help you to little extent, because even I am not a agency expert. This was a small try to help few teachers over here. And of course, I would like to acknowledge these websites and sources which helped me to prepare this webinar. Thank you so much. Okay, I can see some. Okay, I can't see any questions, so I think I should. If you have any questions or regarding the student agency, you can please write in the chat box so that I can clear it. Okay, thank you, ma'am. So have a good day. Bye bye.